What's up? Ranger Raven 5678 here. Welcome back to another episode of DBD. And today it's going to be a discussion of the unfortunate truth about the Walking Dead chapter. Now, the unfortunate truth is, and I'm just going to get out of the way, so, here you are. I guess you're about to click off the video. But the unfortunate truth about the Walking Dead chapter is that the Walking Dead content itself is actually, in my opinion, very good. But this chapter is always going to be remembered as very bad. And when it comes to the type of content we actually get in Dead by Daylight, they can both have their ups and downs. We have had a lot of good chapters out there, but there have been quite a few bad ones out there as well. Now, sometimes when it comes to the chapter release itself, it is what breaks the game. If you guys remember the twins, I don't think it was the twins that broke the game, yet they were very buggy. But as far as I can remember, there were plenty of other bugs going around in the game, and the meta was very, very stale at that time. Plus, it was either just had or it was just after Trickster came out, and he wasn't received well either. So when the twins came out too, it forever is going to be known as a pretty bad chapter. Another good example too is the Skull Merchant, and this is very viable in my opinion, but Skull Merchant was it was just oddly the worst killer they've ever designed. I don't know why or where they were going with the Skull Merchant, but she was just all around bad, okay? I mean, her powers were pretty bad, her Mori was terrible, and her cosmetic, the base cosmetic was pretty bad, which I had a speculation that they were going to try to sell the character off as, just a cosmetic shop of herself. And I was right. She gets very good cosmetic, and even though she's completely neutered at this point, waiting for a new rework, the behavior still sells really decent looking skins for the Skull Merchant. So yeah, it's kind of a weird predicament. And then another example of the chapter actually being pretty bad of itself is when the Houndmaster came out. Now, the lore and the Houndmaster's character altogether was very good. Tori was very interesting, and the Houndmaster's lore was, it felt like it was kind of, getting back to the more old days where the lore was more grounded and deep. And I think it was also because we were kind of starving for original content, but everything else about the Houndmaster but the gameplay was good. It was good. But when the Houndmaster was released, she was very buggy. Her power just didn't seem finished. And the behavior even had to kill switch her about a week or two after she released because of a haste bug that she would have permanently throughout the match that would just make her completely busted. And now here we are in the modern day era of DBD, where the latest chapter, The Walking Dead, has finally came out. And the sad reality of it is that this is probably going to be looked at as a really unfinished bad chapter. Now, in my opinion, once again, it's not the Walking Dead aspect that is breaking the game. It's almost everything else. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole list of what's broken because more than likely if you're watching this video, since I'm such a small channel, I'm assuming you already know what's going on. Between the amount of bugs that has been going on, to the fog vials, to the clown just being completely obnoxious to play against. Now, in terms of bugs, just to name a very select few, Xenomorph can now see Freddy's dream palette placement. Then, in my personal experience, I have had times where I'm the Deathslinger, a killer that I just got into because of the last 2v8. And sometimes when I shoot a survivor, the harpoon will hit and attach to them, but instantly just let go. It completely denies my power. And then as Huntress as well, she has a time where you throw a hatchet at the back of the survivor's head, and the hatchet acts like it hits and it breaks and shatters, but the survivor, for some reason, the game doesn't register the survivor as getting hit. And I'm not sure if Wesker's bug ever gotten patched 2. I really hope it did. But I remember in 2v8, I had a couple times where I was playing Wesker, and they did this thing that the DBD community has came up with called the kidnap tech, where you basically are playing Wesker, you grab a survivor with his power, and then you're completely stuck. You and the survivor together. There's nothing you can do, and even when the game is going to the end screen, the game will pause. Like, nothing can happen because you can't let the survivor off your shoulders because you're stuck. The survivors can't die because they're on your shoulders. So it's kind of like the original hash standoff, where you're pretty much just waiting for one or the other person to give in before moving on to the next match. Now, there's plenty of other bugs to go around, but these have just been the few that I have experienced personally, and which is why I have pretty much refused to play Killer in the past few months. Of course, once 2v8 comes out, my friend and I are pretty much going to do what everyone else is going to do and just bum the crap out of playing Killer, because it is honestly the best game mode, and for some reason they still won't let it be a permanent mode in the game. But anyways, overall though, I mean, it is awesome that the content we're getting is still coming at a, regular, normal pace, but there are other issues in the game that has been yet to been addressed, to where people are starting to really agree with each other in the Dead by Daylight community of all places, that we really need to start holding off some content and focus more on patching the game. Of course, if the community can do it, we would, but that is not up to us. That is entirely up to the devs. But for some weird reason, if you're not up to date with what's going on currently on the social media part of Dead by Daylight, so there's plenty of bugs that the community as a whole, both survivors and killer players, are asking to be kill switched, which, if you don't know what kill switching is something to where the devs can just instantly make it unavailable until they get it fixed. They've done it for multiple killers. I think they've done it for the pig once. They've done it for Houndmaster on her second week of launch. They've done it for maps when they're not functioning properly. They've done this kind of stuff before, but now they seem to be refusing to do it for whatever reason. I mean, and there is a lot of stuff to go around. For example, Pig can make it to where she doesn't have to activate chase, and if she puts a head trap on a survivor, she can literally just follow them, and of course the survivor tries to go for a box, she'll just down them. But the Pig can deactivate chase or whatever, and so the timer will never go down on the trap, which results in the Pig just following a survivor until their head pops. And another bug on the survivor side that is going on is for the perk Streetwise. And now, for whatever reasons you can think of, and it's probably the correct answer, Streetwise will now have it to where, or it's not the perk itself, I make it sound like the perk is doing it itself, but there's a bug on the perk where you can typically just give your items infinite charges. You can give medkits infinite charges, you can give flashlight, toolbox infinite charges, and whatever else you can think of. And these are really, really busted and not meant to be in the game, but again, for whatever reason, the devs are just refusing, and I do mean refusing, to kill switch these what are we gonna call it, exploits, I guess, and it's just really rubbing the community the wrong way. Now, bugs aside, the other thing that has been quite a hot topic in the community are the clown changes. Now, for me personally, I've never been good at playing clown, and I've never been good against clown, but he was considered a pretty low tier killer, and of course I guess not a lot of people would pick up and play him, but that's also doesn't mean that he was extremely weak or anything. Like, he may have been on a lower tier list, but if you dedicate enough time to him, just like pretty much any other killer, maybe except Skull Merchant, you can be a very, very decent clown. There's even a guy out there who wrote hundreds of pages on how to play the clown. It's so insane. But now, I think in order to appeal to the newer players, they made the clown pretty brain dead. And it's pretty simple what they did. They buffed both the pea bottle and the purple bottle, and that, if they just buffed the haze, that wouldn't have been too bad. But honestly, and just probably just me, my biggest issue has been with the clown is how fast the yellow bottles spawn in, because now I'm just consistently going against haste build clowns. And again, I do sound like a survivor who's just crying about the video game, just like you will hear a lot on the internet. But it seems like this is coming more from the community than me, as I've only gone against the clown maybe 3 or 4 times since this new patch came out. But it seems overall the community isn't a big fan of how the clown changes were, and I honestly hate to be the devs right now, because they were probably thinking, okay, if we buffed the clown and made him easier to play as, then more people will play as him. But this just didn't seem like it was the right way to go. But yeah, overall though, I mean, trying to hop back onto the Walking Dead part of, the Walking Dead chapter. Another really bad thing that I've experienced so far is the lack of times I have been on the new map, The Fallen Refugees. Now, they nuked the everlasting mess out of map add-on, so now I think it's like a 20% chance of getting on the map. And every time I've used the map add-on, also I've only had the map add-on 4 times because all I've been doing is playing Rick, I have never gotten it once. And again, it's a 20% chance, but it's not just the fact that I never got the new Walking Dead map in general, but I never even got the realm I wanted. And also, just to add another layer on this already bad smelling cake, if cake smells good, is the fact that behavior stated with the FNAF chapter that when they start adding new maps into the game, they'll start having separate lobbies for people who want to play on the new map and explore it more and all this stuff. But for whatever reason, they've already seemed to have forgotten to do that, and the only real reason, or the only real way to get on the new map is to get lucky and and just get the map, because even if everybody puts that map add-on, you still have about a 25% chance of getting it, considering that there are 4 separate maps to that realm. And I'll even admit, like, the one time I did manage to get on the map, I was honestly kind of disappointed, because even though I like the Walking Dead tile that we got, it is very fan servicey. It's all we got in terms of maps and stuff like that. Like, I think originally they planned it to be like a random tile for a Walking Dead character to have, I guess, when they spawn into a game, but for whatever reason they ditched that and decided to make it its own map. But you can just go around and see how unfinished the whole map is, and that is pretty much the common thing I have to say about this chapter, that it's just so disappointing being unfinished. But yeah, there's still some very positive things to say about the Walking Dead chapter. For example, I mean, they actually had Rick and Daryl's actor voice their character, even though there's something weird about their grunts and their screams. I don't think it's the same person, and Michonne's voice just acts really weird all around. Like, just listen to what she sounds like when she gets hit by the plate. And yeah, and both Rick and Michonne's perks are very fun to use. These changes to keys and maps have been having me create more builds and stuff like that for fun. Like, for example, I like using the keys to go around opening the chest, and then use appraisal so I can repair pallets and also go around and pick pallets up. It's just such a fun build to run, and it kind of breaks up the the monotonous pace of Survivor gameplay where it's just Jin chase heal, Jin chase heal, Jin chase heal, so there are some good things to be said about this chapter, but I think the community can agree with me when I say that the stuff that has been in the game that has been affecting gameplay has been here for way too long, and something needs to be done about it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I am happy with the Walking Dead chapter, and if anybody ever comes up to ask me, hey man, what was the most exciting chapter to you? Honestly, I'm probably gonna say Walking Dead, but maybe that's just recency bias. I don't know, but I can totally understand if people come up to me and be like, no, I hate that chapter. The game was in a very terrible state right now. And I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. And yeah, if you're a new player looking into this game, hoping to, see how the game is, stuff like that, personally, I would say just wait, because this game is already a very hard game to get into, because you're going to be playing against players with thousands of hours. There's so much little nooks and crannies to learn about, and it's also, you're going to have to deal with the amount of bugs, especially if you want to play as killer right now, and it's just going to be a lot harder for newer players to get into. And if you can't get into the game because it's just too hard or whatever, then new players are less likely to be sticking to the game, which sucks, because of course I want everybody to enjoy this game, even though I know that's not everybody's type of game. The people who have that potential to really enjoy the game, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get into it. But anyways, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.